Good morning, everyone. Merry Christmas for those who celebrate, and also Merry NIO Day. This is Miriam. I'm Marcel. Hope you guys can see and hear us clearly. Otherwise, please give us a comment below. We are going to cover NIO Day 2022, not from China, again, because of the COVID situation, of course, but live as always with our commentary. So please lean back, enjoy, relax, celebrate this event with us. As Patrick says, push the like button, share it so that everyone can join us in celebrating it. I guess it's still very, very early in the US where we have lots of followers, but
and it's also Christmas Eve.
And it's also Christmas Eve, yeah. But welcome to all the Europeans who are already awake, and for the Chinese, of course. And I've got here my Twitter page open, showing you the Christmas market at the Bund in Shanghai. Unfortunately, we cannot be there this year, but that's a widely celebrated event in Shanghai as well. And as you can see, lots of people are out. It's packed. And this is, kind of showing you the situation currently in China, because of course, COVID is, this wave is currently going on in China after the very quick opening. And so I think this is also kind of the context for this NIO Day, that nobody really knew whether or not this would actually happen. By the way, if you don't do that yet, please follow me on Twitter at _mm85. Miriam, what's your Twitter handle?
You can show it later on.
It's in here, actually. I've shared it as well here. At Miriam Theobald. That's her Twitter handle. Please go and follow Miriam as well. And we use a little bit of time until this event kicks off let's frame it, give a little bit of context, wait until more people are joining us here. And as I said, so the situation in China is quite tense. Lots of people are getting COVID. So it will be interesting to see how many people are actually joining the event today, right? Because there is a huge spread possibly going on once you are going into a big event like this. So I guess many Chinese will refrain from doing so. But one person I saw who is going despite COVID is Jay in Shanghai. Shout out if he is watching that one later, maybe at some point in time. Jay is an influencer, a Shanghai-based car influencer. He's pretty big actually for the Tesla community, but he's also attending the NIO Day. I think not the first time. So despite COVID, his family just got COVID, but he just decided last minute that he's going there as well. So that's cool. What else? Here some impressions from the pre-party yesterday. And so this gives us some good vibes, I would say, because you can see this is a packed.
What do you reckon? How many people are there?
This looks like 3,000 people easily.
Yeah.
And none of them wearing masks. That must be in Hefei, of course. And so, Li Bin was speaking, the co-founder, Jin Lihong, was speaking as well, as you can see. So that's usually the gathering that they're doing. And that must be in Hefei, where the event is taking place today as well. So good to see people are going out and meeting, despite, of course, they are unfortunately very likely to catch COVID during this event, because that's just the nature of this virus, unfortunately. That's kind of a little bit of a a little bit of a context here. Let's see what else happened on Weibo already today. Let me open that tab. So this has been a live stream earlier today by one of the users in Hefei.
NIO Day 2022的现场。
So this giving you some impressions here of people walking towards this big event, people gathering outside.
logo。
And yeah, what can we expect from the event? I think, well, we can maybe talk about some of the leaks regarding some cars that are going to be released. I think this time we know a bit more with certainty what's going to be released, right? A battery swap station 3.0, the EC7. Well, I don't know if they're going to name it like this, but it's very likely the following up car of the EC6, if you will. And then an upgrade to the ES8 for sure. And then what's more, yeah, maybe you get one more thing, right? And possibly something else besides cars, besides swapping. That would be my expectations here. Of course, we're gonna see possibly the NIO band again. So I know the Western viewers are quite, how do you say, split opinion about it. What do you say, Miriam?
It is awkward, but it's very Chinese. I like how they engage with their NIO users and that they make them part of the experience in the show and everything.
Yeah, and by the way, we've been just, as you may have witnessed, to the NIO Berlin event, the NIO house opening. So really interesting to see how they transfer this concept of community from China to the West. It's originated in China, and they might have to do some localization strategies, right? All right, let's fast forward this a bit. We've got like 7 minutes remaining till the live streaming should be starting. So inside you can see a hall where I guess they exhibit NIO Live products and have some experiences. Also a little bit like Christmassy, I would say.
Yeah, Chinese like Christmas.
Yeah, it's actually that's also the funny thing. Usually you say like communist China, right? But they are all about consumption and capitalism in this regard, if you will, right? It's crazy. And so, yeah, also really looking forward.
Never miss an opportunity to consume.
Yeah, that's why I'm also very looking forward to go back to Shanghai or China in general next year, right? 2023 will be the year when they finally open up again. We've got news that Hong Kong border is going to open to mainland. We've got news that January might be much easier to get into China. So that's most likely when we will be back as well, right? All right, some experiences, as you can see. Maybe let's show you some more pictures also from the NIO community, if I can find it on Weibo. So Weibo is the Chinese Twitter equivalent. It's much more than that, actually. So here are some people sharing, for example, the Nreal. So that's the augmented reality glasses experiences on NIO Day. The NIO band. Most likely we're gonna see them.
Wow, very international crowd today. So people tune in from all over Europe, but also Australia and Canada.
Australians, good to see,
Tenerife.
right? Yeah, I guess the Americans will only wake up in a couple of minutes. So, yeah, what else can we find? Here, another car influencer, 42 How, seemingly attending NIO Day as well, driving there in a NIO car. Here's some more impressions. So that's all generating quite a bit of media buzz there for
Daniel saying, Americans are up, jumped out of bed.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, like this is an important event for NIO investors, for NIO users. So it's creating a lot of media hype, especially in China, of course. I think Tencent will be live streaming it, Bilibili. So, you know, all of the Chinese big social media platforms. And of course, Dongxi will be live streaming it. So, so the biggest European media platform for Chinese investment there is. So if you haven't subscribed yet, go subscribe, hit the bell, so you can always be informed about NIO, but also other investments. So we have just been to the NIO Berlin NIO Day, right? If you will, that was a cool event as well, very well organized. But we haven't attended a Chinese NIO Day yet because of the pandemic. It's crazy. maybe next year we can go. All right, what else? Maybe just giving you some pretext here. Let me share this slide as well. We only have a couple of minutes left until there's actually the live presentation should be starting. They might be a little bit later, who knows? But it's not usually like Elon Musk who lets wake people for a long time. Share screen, this one. Okay, let's have a look at this briefly. So we're gonna see what's gonna be presented today. This is a slide that I've done previously, as you may know if you watch my channel, about the potential NIO setup with the cars. Highlighted in red here is which models I think will be upgraded in 2023. So the ES8, ES6, ES5, EC7 and EC6, but this is all rumors, right? But for sure, those older cars will get an upgrade to the NT 2.0 platform. So that's exciting because this will help the margins and bring those cars onto the latest technology. And yeah, everything else is kind of speculation from my side, what could happen under the NIO brand. Maybe get some more truth to that today.
Looking at what you're expecting already, NIO Day is going to last like 5 or 6 hours. If they want to announce all of that.
No, they're not going to announce them. But here, Alps. So that's one of the sub-brands which might be competing more on the lower end with Tesla, Toyota, and Volkswagen in terms of average sales prices. Actually, we have some news to this week that there might be a hatchback version, which might be actually this image here. That might be actually the sub-brand. So that will not be a NIO brand. I really doubt that they will announce something like this today. If they will announce it, that will be exciting. So previously I mentioned, like, might this be an ES5, you know, so under the NIO brand, a smaller car, but possibly this is already the sub-brand that we're seeing here. We have those pictures floating around, kind of a station wagon, so European style. Prototypes driving around, so that might be announced, but yeah, having not too much details on this one, but this might be definitely under the NIO brand. And then this one is mostly sure to be presented the EC7, because you can see, you know, there's the spoiler here. All right, let me check if we can have the live stream already up here, because it should now start any minute. Yep, there we are. Let me share it with you. The presentation is starting. Share screen. Tap this one. Is it this one? Yeah. All right, here we go. You should be able to. Yeah. All right, we're singing already. Let me know if you hear the sound properly. Seems to be the NIO band. We should have brought our karaoke mic. Karaoke.
Karaoke is so important in Chinese culture because it means to relieve stress, because people are under a lot of pressure.
Wow, the Chinese rock star seems, and look, the place seems crowded. I'm surprised. I would have not been surprised if there were very, very few people attending, to be honest. So this will be a mass spreading event under the NIO brand. Which is good, because afterwards they have immunity. So and then you can open again.
It's mostly
Yeah.
Chinese hairstyle. Yeah.
Do you know him? I don't know him.
No, I'm not good with Chinese musicians.
No.
But the way he sings, I think he's maybe a user as well. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, he's not exactly on Welcome if you're new to the live stream here. We're covering NIO Day 2022 today. In the beginning, we kind of gave a little bit of context around the situation for this NIO Day, which is quite special because of the COVID situation in China. I think this is also why they made it on the Christmas Day, which has upset possibly lots of Europeans and Americans and other places where Christmas is being celebrated. But for China, it's actually perfect because they're off work and they can celebrate this special event. And to be honest, like this event is mainly focused on the Chinese mainland market, right? Also in terms of social media.
在追光的路上，可能不是我们想象中的那么一帆风顺。但是呢，我相信只要我们努力、勇敢的坚持去追逐，那在这追光的路上，我也经历了很多。他也给予给我好多好多的鼓励。
Always lots of pathos.
让我更明白。
We've got to be very newly.
Yeah, we need to be brave and
work a lot.
Then we'll get it through. They're going to be bright future.
Yeah, seeing some empty seats in there.
Over there.
I mean, that was to be expected. They're even wearing jackets inside, so it might even be cold. So challenging circumstances this year.
NIO Band.
NIO Band.
NIO Band. 大家好。 Do you know about the selection process for the NIO Band?
这首歌曲由我和NIO Band 一起为大家演出。这是我们热爱音乐的未来用户组成的跨界乐队。那 NIO Band 的成员，鼓手嘉欣，吉他手张健，吉他手孙浩，贝斯
Oh, they're wearing the NIO brand
小雨
clothes.
小提琴黄玲，还有 vocal 黄玲。那在我最右边 vocal 大西盛杰，在我左边的歌手静兰、一鸣、张张，还有我。
So then now just introducing all of the NIO Band members, he announced that he's going to sing with them. About the selection process, I'm not quite sure how this happened actually, I guess in the NIO app. And yeah, Feel the Light is kind of the big theme for this NIO event. I don't know what's kind of wrapped around this.
Maybe they're announcing like a new form of light, actually.
Oh yeah.
Because this was speculated during the NIO launch in Germany. Some of the Chinese people at the event were speculating that they're introducing a new light design.
Okay. That's actually one of the really nice parts of the latest NT 2.0 platform cars, in my point of view. The interior lighting is really nicely done, and not in a flashy way like, let's say, Mercedes-Benz, which I think is overdone. I think it's not modern. I personally wouldn't like it.
That's so funny because recently you're saying that you're getting more intrigued by Mercedes.
Yes, from the exterior design, I think they're doing a more and more good job on their electric cars, to be honest. So I think they're a valid competitor in that regard. But the interior design, I don't like it at all, to be honest. And I think NIO has possibly the best interior design in the industry currently, I would say. Like, remember the ET5?
Yeah, it's incredibly modern.
Like the quality of the materials and the touch it has, and then also, you know, those lightning effects. I mean, I don't really need it, but it's really nicely done. So
I really like that it's so reduced. It's very reduced. It's like we don't need to show off all the functionalities. We don't need to put in another like Chrome knob or something.
Yeah.
Or toggle bar.
Yeah. Not too many buttons, not too, I don't know, overdone. Like, I mean, Mercedes, I really don't like that one, to be honest. Even Volkswagen is doing a better job at this, to be honest. Like the ID3 series or ID series, like the ID3 and so on. I think, despite the fact that the software isn't great or the displays and this stuff, I think the rest of it is actually also done nicely. But nothing comes close to NIO currently, I would say. Tesla is having a nice interior design as well, but I think that's almost more reduced than NIO, right? Doesn't have the more premium, luxurious feeling to it. That's just my personal opinion. Okay, a bit less of the music. Thanks for the comment, Andrea. Andrea, I don't have the Marshall JCM900, but I have the special edition of Slash from Guns N' Roses. So that's a limited edition.
Pride.
That's how I invest money. Because that one is going up in value. It's not a depreciating asset. It's actually going up because it's a limited edition. It's signed by the guitarist from Guns N' Roses, and it's having special tubes inside and stuff. So there you go. Could I play in the NIO band currently? Possibly no. I'm lacking the skills right now. But if NIO's gonna do that in Germany, I would practice for it.
Okay, and now it's on YouTube.
Wow, 255 people already in the live stream. America is waking up. Thank you guys for joining us in this NIO Day 2022 live coverage. NIO band is giving an introduction.
Oh, that's a good point. So Stefano says that this song is not as cringe as the last one, and I think it's true.
True, yeah.
They're getting more and more international.
Yeah, I like the more rock and roll style, obviously. Some good Marshall amps on the stage. That's good to see. There's actually some good, I mean, people would be surprised, but there's some really nice punk, rock music, independent music in China. You wouldn't expect this, but there's actually quite good music scene in China as well.
Back in the day, we liked to go to Chinese hip-hop battles.
Yep. All right, what's next?
Wow, New York, Norway.
Britain is the only country for indie music. Yeah, I think you're possibly right on this. Britain has some of the greatest music around. And the other day I did actually a poll on Twitter asking which music is better, from the US or from Britain, and I think Britain won. That's a tough decision though, tough poll.
再这样下去也不是办法，总不能都空着。我们已经4个厅，人员已经减到最少。
Oh, that's a good point. I've totally forgot about this. Maybe that's the one more thing, the NIO smartphone. Actually, I've never done a video on that one. Because I didn't want to speculate too much about it. I have the feeling that this could be an extension of the digital assist, Nomi. So I think it's more about AI and bridging the whole experience, because Nomi is only within the car, and a smartphone, of course, can be part of the experience outside of the car. But let's see. So maybe we hear some news about this today. Andrea thinks it's going to be a separate event. Let's see.
You already said it.
哎呀，几十年前呐，我在电影院看过电影。哎，那时候眼睛啊，还看得见。哎呀，没关系啊，我就是。
Another emotional story. That's usually also what they like to show on the NIO Day events. And actually, they use it a lot in marketing. Usually, those stories are telling something very specific to the Chinese life and experiences, some of the struggles that they're facing within society currently. You need to know that China, of course, is at a different stage in their development. Only 20, 30 years back, it was a very, very poor country. Now gotten rich quite quickly, and this has lots of implications on social life, on development, on the economy in general and such. And NIO kind of transports some of these stories, some of the struggles within the family, within what's happening in China. And I think that's kind of also some of the advantages that in general some of the Chinese brands have over their Western competitors, because of course they have a deeper understanding and rooting in the culture of the country, right? There have been many advertisement scandals as well, like for Audi, for example, Mercedes, where they they didn't pay attention to Chinese culture, and this can backfire quite quickly. Whereas those Chinese brands like NIO, they can have a better understanding of culture and thereby really touch the Chinese emotionally, and that's what I'm trying to do with such clips and telling such stories.
I think the volume maybe.
More volume on the.
No, on you. I think that maybe in the live stream
Maybe you can go a bit closer to the.
补课老师也给你找了，小考你还勉强过得去，怎么一到大考你就摘得这么狠？都几回了，不能好好反省一下自己吗？你。
So, is the audio a bit better now? I hope it's gonna get louder like this. Right, where was I? So yeah, these are those emotional stories that they love to tell during NIO Day. And so in general, what I would also like to point out here with NIO Day actually is that it shows one unique advantage of the NIO business model, which is that they're really focusing their core activity on the area of designing cars and marketing them, right? So that's one of the positives around NIO's lean business model, that they're not owning the factories, so they're outsourcing manufacturing. Instead, they focus really on these activities of creating new cars, designs, and bringing out new models fairly quickly, actually, and on a continuous basis. And I think that's something which other car manufacturers and OEMs will have some difficulties with. Even Tesla, right now, Tesla is struggling a little bit, that their model's getting a little bit more seasoned or older. So they're great cars. However, in China, you buy cars like a smartphone, right? You always get like the latest stuff. And if something is like 2-3 years old, it's actually already old. So, and NIO, every year bring out at least 2 models. And I think they're only picking up speed now, right? Because they were almost bankrupt just a couple of years ago, and it's only now that they have finally the MT2.0 platform, and now they're starting with the sub-brands and also working on the next platform already. So you can only expect this speed to pick up, and so that's quite a different strategy, I would say. And I would say that this is a unique advantage in terms of the business model, and I would also say going forward, this could help NIO a lot.
差不多了。当年你爸靠一把铲子养活一大家人，不容易啊！你小时候不是总喜欢跟着你爸屁股后头靠要预告器啊？你看，你爸现在都有接班人了嘞。晓得你喜欢吃预告啊？你平时不在家，我打预告的时候。
Sorry about the lag. Yeah, I'm gonna check it for a second.
不在家的日子，女儿会写自己的名字了。更没有想到，儿子也跟爷爷学会了做我爱吃的鱼糕。
Right, there was another question regarding my thoughts about the JIC buying NIO equipment, and I think that one has to do with the fact that NIO has just upped their stake in the JIC NIO joint venture, so they are now 50-50.
对不起。那天说的确实太重了。
And yeah, so I think of course, NIO would have to pay money for getting this additional 1%, which gives them a higher stake in the company, and therefore also, more say in this joint venture. So essentially having more votes as well. And I would say there might be possibly a deal where JAC bought some of the NIO equipment. So the way it works in this joint agreement is that JAC is doing all of the manufacturing, but there are NIO teams in the factory, right? And NIO is also buying and installing some of the equipment. So for example, I think they have something similar to a GigaPress, a casting device. I think that's also partly NIO owned, because in the past, for example, an unknown fact, they sold that one to Tesla in the beginning, helping Giga Shanghai when NIO almost went bankrupt. So that gave them a little bit of money. So they do own some equipment, but that's really not necessary in this joint venture. They're in this partnership manufacturing. And so what they've done here possibly is that they increased the stake in this joint venture, and instead of paying for buying this 1% in the joint venture, they possibly sold some of this equipment to JAC, which just totally makes sense. And so this means NIO doesn't need to tap into their liquidity there, which going into a recession might be a smart thing to do.
你好意思吗你？你自己一个毕设方向都没定的人，你在那逼啥呢？上来！
Yeah, and that connects to your next question. When do we expect NIO to become profitable? I think if everything's going well and the NIO management has pointed to that one, we might see one profitable quarter next year. So maybe Q4, because Q4 is usually the quarter with the highest volume. And that's when they possibly found kind of a balance between sales and R&D. So currently what's eating into NIO's finances there is their increases in R&D, which are actually going up much higher than their competitors' R&D expenses. And at some point, of course, they have enough stuff and it will kind of remain at a certain level. At the same time, volumes are expected to go up, especially with the ET5. Please remember, we are at very, very early stages still with the ET5. So we'll see this month possibly how much it has ramped. Actually, I've posted that one in our Patreon community the other day. Based on the weekly registration numbers, we can see the ET5 has now started to ramp, but it was heavily affected by the lockdowns now almost a month ago, but of course there's always some lag, right? So the ET5 will be the story of next year, and that's when we finally get a kick on profitability. But for the whole year, maybe 2024, 2025. Right, and this connects to your next question. Any news about the December deliveries? Will they deliver the target? I'm actually quite conservative on this one. I've put out 2 videos and I think they're still valid. The first video I've done was that my personal expectations for December are about 16,000 deliveries based on what I'm seeing and how they can ramp. So that would be even below the low guidance. So that would mean a miss in the guidance. But given people are staying home in China currently during this COVID wave, the factory was partly shut down by the end of November. So all of these indicators are not boding too well for the really large delivery targets. However, after I made this video, Jin Lihong came out, so the co-founder and president of NIO came out and said, well, we have produced 300,000 cars and we're gonna deliver them close to the 1st of January. So that would actually indicate that they meet actually even their upper guidance of 26,000 cars for December. However, this is not backed up by the current data that we're seeing on the weekly registrations of the insurance numbers. Of course, insurance numbers cannot be accurate at some points. There might be lagging indicators. Maybe people are buying and getting delivered the car, but are not going out and register the cars. We have unknowns whether or not some cars that went to Europe, will they be registered as deliveries or not? I have a suspicion that they might even do something like a mass delivery event around NIO Day. Would make sense. There are many NIO users coming to this event. I don't know how many going to be in the stadium today, but maybe they all take delivery of an ET5 or something like this, which could bump the sales. Who knows? So I don't know. I'm going to lean back.
Nice.
Yeah. But now, let's see. Now the man is on stage. I met him for the first time.
认真生活的
He
人
knew you.
都是
really?
平凡世
Yeah,
界里的
well,
光。
his assistant said like,
大
look,
家
this
好，
is
我是
Marcel,
李
the
斌
YouTuber.
欢迎来到2022未来日 ，Welcome to NIO Day，
Welcome.
欢迎来到现场的朋友们，欢迎你们，欢迎149个分会场和所有收看直播的朋友们，也欢迎你们。
That's to you guys.
盛景天缘别，精神入画图。经过95000多位未来用户的投票，合肥成为今年未来。
So this is just a small city that you never heard of otherwise if you're not a NIO investor. Hefei, and you saw it in the background, big city,
是每一台未来
around 10
车辆
million
诞生的地方。
inhabitants.
欢迎大家来合肥。
So that's kind of a second-tier city in China, I would say. Yeah.
今天现场还有不少特别的嘉宾，他们在未来发展的关键时刻，给予了我们极大的信任和支持，也让我们一起欢迎安徽省和合肥市的领导们，感谢你们，欢迎你们的到来。
It's nice to
最
mention.
近是一个比较特别的时期。
I'm really surprised that there are so many people in the audience, to be
现
honest.
场参加活动，让我非常感动。我也想借此机会祝福大家，祝福每一个人，祝大家身体健康。
每一个人, he's
祝福大家。
he's a Nanfang accent, like a South Chinese
今
accent.
年
Lieben.
有700多位用户志愿者参加到未来日的组织和接待工作中，克服了许多困难，特别不容易。感谢你们的付出，谢谢。我们的筹备工作也经历了很多挑战，这次活动如果有不完美的地方，还请大家谅解。今年的外场，全国的未来用户们一起创造了一个有温度、充满爱心的公益市集。
He just said, but that wasn't translated, that they faced lots of challenges this year.
也会1:1配砖。今天下午我去逛了逛， 这个还没走完就已经吃饱了。未来日一直是用户共同创造、共同参与的节日。在刚才的表演中，包括 ES8 车主黄义达在内的12位用户组成的 NIO Band 一起演唱了今年的主题曲。包括乐队、顾问团、志愿者在内，今年一共有1400多位用户参与了全国活动的共创。是你们的才华让 NIO Day 变得与众不同，谢谢你们，谢谢。和这些积极参与共创的用户一样，未来的用户们积极乐观，充满爱心与善意。刚才的电影来自于用户的真实故事，我们能够感受到，他们每一个人都在认真生活，他们每一个人都是照亮我们平凡世界的光。在未来社区中，这样的人、这样的故事还有很多。陆敏是一名音乐剧的制作人，今年演出市场惨淡，但他依然坚持着这份事业，用爱与温暖去照亮孩子们的舞台。雪山姐姐是一名人力资源的负责人，忙碌的工作之外，她不断挑战极限。今年5月，终于登顶珠峰，也把未来的 logo 带上了世界最高点，迎来属于了自己的高光时刻。青岛的芳菲、春风化雨、梁汉云等用户，从19年以来就定期带着孩子们参与海洋净滩公益活动，持之以恒，践行着对海洋的热爱，感染了很多人加入他们的行列。今年8月，杭州用户娱乐川与36位车友，沿着稻城亚滇家电路线抵达了甘孜州的香城县。用户的孩子们与当地的孩子们一起踢球玩耍，成为了好朋友。今年2月初2，北京用户30印象和2位车友来到了庙宇语言矫正康复中心，为可爱的小朋友们理发，让孩子们感受到了温暖。据不完全统计，今年有超过16000人次的未来用户参与了超过500场的公益活动，善意的光芒照亮了更多的人。未来用户们也不仅仅是用自己的实际行动回馈社会，也彼此互帮互助。就在最近，成都用户浩哥从车友群中得知用户米娅的父亲需要帮助，他就主动联系，驱车20公里送去了退烧药。在过去的3年中，社区中还有太多这样的故事。在社会公益方面，未来用户信托也在行动。今年2月，信托参与了三江源生态保护项目，和用户一起规划建设环保科研基地。明年3季度建成后，能让大家更好参与环保公益志愿行动。今年，用户信托还助力了16个用户公益项目，惠及8000多个家庭。截至11月底，我们已经累计交付273700多台未来车辆。我想我们的用户朋友对这个数字比我关心的还多啊！未来的社区越来越大，我们的朋友越来越多，大家在赛场上收获友谊，一起创作表演，登上舞台。这是一部
What makes you think so, Andrea? Curious to know.
深圳用户主演的原创话剧，它名字就叫《谁说要有光》。明年他们会在全国各地开启公演，也欢迎大家前去观看。大家一起参加露营活动，一起探索诗和远方。爸爸妈妈和孩子们度过难忘的亲子时光。
How did you like the NIO House experience? I'm curious. It would be interesting how it works in the West.
想象着登上太空，成为灭火小英雄，一起探索未知的世界，一起在牛屋过生日，见证彼此的成长。在 NIO House 里，这样值得回忆的时刻很多。 我们牛屋也越来越多。今年12月16号，德国柏林的未来中心正式开业，它位于当地最为繁华的库达姆大街。到目前，全球共有97家未来中心，298家未来空间，越来越多的美好时刻在这里发生。大家在牛屋一起学习。2022年，超过8000名用户现场参与了 Seeds， 还有超过300万人次线上观看。跨越30个专业领域的859位海内外嘉宾，用灵感
Yeah, sorry about the choppy experience. Seems our internet connection, the Wi-Fi
接下
connection
来
in
我
here,
跟大家汇报
sometimes
一
a
年
little
来
bit sloppy.
未
I
来
don't
社
know.
区的几项重要
Hope
工作的
it's
进
getting
展。
better.
去
Actually,
年
it should
我
be
们
working.
发布了未来车主福利合伙人计划，今年在大家的热情支持下，福利合伙人数量已经达到1562人，店铺有3000多家，覆盖158个城市。你们在哪里？朱先波是16出小龙虾的店主啊，下午我又吃了一下他的龙虾，也是最早的一批福利合伙人。1年多以来，已经有1600多位车友到他的店打卡。今天 NIO Day 的外场也有30多位来自全国各地的福利合伙人参与公益市集，在合肥本地也有50多家福利合伙人的店，欢迎大家前往。NIO Life 陪伴了我们4年多，为我们的生活带来了很多的惊喜。在过去的几年 ，NIO Life 携手全球超过600位设计师，为用户打造生活美学产品，在中国和欧洲累计送出了960万件惊喜。我们和用户一起在探索新的地平线。今年10月7号，我们举办了 NIO Berlin 欧洲发布会。继挪威之后，将未来的产品和服务带到了德国、瑞典、荷兰、
Let me check a second. I will
我们认识了
maybe
更多
share it
的
again.
新朋友。他的家乡就是北极圈内的特罗姆索，这里是未来车身颜色、极光率灵感诞生的地方，这也是未来车辆到达过的最北的地方。今年进入欧洲5国的 ET7，不仅受到了用户的喜爱，也获得了专业机构的认可。今年11月 ，ET7 获得了久负盛名的金方向盘奖。也是首个获此殊荣的中国品牌车型。此外 ，ET7 在丹麦、瑞典、挪威都获得了重磅的奖项。去年，蔚来率先发起了 CleanParks 生态共建计划，支持全球自然保护地使用清洁能源。今年，世界自然基金会 WWF 和联合国开发计划署 UNDP 先后参与，共同发起共建平台。截至目前，我们已经在中国和欧洲的13处国家公园和自然保护地开展了绿色生态合作项目。同时，通过公民科学家项目，未来用户也积极地以志愿者的身份参与到国家公园的自然保护和科考活动中，一起践行清朗天空的愿景。可持续的未来需要青年人的力量。自未来创立之初，我们就参与发起，一直支持中国大学生巅峰方程式。今年的赛事就在合肥举办，有113支车队，3000多名学生参与。借此机会，我要再次感谢合肥市的大力支持，谢谢。今年8月，我们也正式成为德国大学生方程式的合作伙伴，支持来自全球23个国家的92支车队，为全球的汽车工业新生力量持续加电。Fear the light， 每一位认真生活、努力工作、 充满善意的人，都是平凡世界中的一束光。
So hope the stream is getting a little bit better now. If not, we can maybe change position. But we're now in the German countryside where the internet is not as good as in Berlin. That's because it's Christmas, so everyone's going home for Christmas.
78.4亿公里，探索远方需要便利的家电保障。NIO Power 可充可换可升级的能源服务体系一直在进步。我首先说一下充电，蔚来是充电体验最好的品牌。我们已经为超过16万用户安装了加充桩。蔚来的充电网络已经布局13083根公共充电桩，是在中国充电桩数量布局最多的汽车品牌。在服务好蔚来用户的同时，我们的充电桩也向所有的电动车主开放。目前，非蔚来品牌的用户的充电量已经占到80.5%。我们累计为超过110个品牌车辆提供了充电服务，为每一位电动车主出行提供了便利。同时，蔚来的充电地图接入了全国超过61万根第三方充电桩，覆盖中国333个地级行政区域。为了改善中国北方8省以及远途自驾出游的家电体验，我们先后发布了2个专项行动计划，让油车能去的地方，电车也能去。今年11月26日，吉林省高速超充网络全面打通，覆盖35个高速服务区，连接吉林省9个地级行政区域。几年来，我们坚持在风景优美但是补能设施不完善的旅游目的地持续部署充换电站。截至今日，我们已经累计贯通滇藏线、川西大环线、宁夏塞上江南线、呼伦贝尔草原线等48条目的地家电路线。明年，这样的路线将再开通20条，包括通向大家向往的甘南、黔东南、伊犁、锡林郭勒草原等地方的充电路线。明年大家可以放心的去玩了，就是为你们提前准备的。除了充电桩的持续布局，充电桩的产品也在持续进化。今天我们正式发布500千瓦超快充桩。
Wow, 500 kilowatt.
500千瓦，最大电流660安。什么概念呢？举个例子 ，ES7 搭载100度电磁包的情况下，
Let's see if this will improve
电20分钟可以补充
the charging curve for NIO cars. For example, Audi is doing a very good job at this. But 500 kilowatt hour, that's
采用自研的液冷充电枪线，减重1半以上，单手就可轻松操作，这个真的很重要，因为我在东北。这个充过电，那个太重了，液冷枪线我们是非常体验非常好，可充可换可升级，可换啊！截至今天，蔚来已经在全国建成1286座换电站，覆盖中国大陆所有省级行政区域。随着换电站持续布局，换电也成为越来越多用户首选的家电方式。今年2月13号，换电在蔚来车辆的电量占比历史性的突破50%。2月13号，记住这个日子。截至今天，我们已经为用户提供超过1500万次换电服务。日均近4万次，相当于平均每2.2秒就有一辆蔚来从换电站满电出发。今年，我们还从用户那里回购了一台里程近45万公里的ES6，通过测试和拆解， 加速、制动、车内静谧性等各方面的表现都和新车不相上下。电子包依旧稳固连接。你知道这台车换过多少次电吗？1300多次。和燃油车的使用成本相比，相当于省出了一辆宝马。开3年蔚来 ES6，省出了一台宝马 X3。在城市中，全国电区房覆盖率达到了68.7%，意味着已经有超过2/3的用户在住宅或办公场所3公里范围内至少有一座换电站。在高速路网上，我们已经完成了5纵3横8大城市群高速换电网络，累计建成了340座换电站。这一次就很多朋友就开车过来了。我们承诺到2025年全面建成9纵9横19大城市圈的高速换电网络，让用户能够以最快的补能方式畅行高速，想走就走。换电站的数量非常重要，换电站本身的服务能力和使用体验也同样重要。一直以来，我们都在持续迭代换电站，致力于为用户提供更好的家电体验。今天，我们正式发布蔚来第3代换电站。
Boom, there we go. We knew that would happen, but let's see if the rumors are true.
这就是蔚来的3代换电站，酷不酷？换电速度进一步提升，采用全新的3工位协同作业机制，换电时间缩短20%，服务能力更加强大，电池仓位增加到21个，日服务次数可达408次。比2代站提升30%，配备2颗激光雷达和2颗 Orin X 芯片，单站算力达到508 TOPS。以后换电站还得比 TOPS， 更精准地实现车站协同，以支持召唤换电、自动泊入等智能换电功能。采用全球首创蔚来自研的HPC 双向大功率液冷电源模块，最高效率达到98%， 充放电功率达到62.5千瓦，不仅能够大幅提高换电站内电池的充放电效率，也能更好地参与电网互动，帮助电网削峰填谷。未来第3代换电站，换电速度更快，服务能力更强，换电更智能，站网互动更高效。明年3月，我们就将开始全面部署。更智能的换电站，加上更智能的车，可以带来什么样的想象？我们来看一段最近的实测的视频。高速领航换电，这也是未来的智能车辆、智能换电站和能源云深度协同完成的复杂并独有的智能化场景。结合日益完善的换电网络，越来越成熟的智能驾驶技术，未来用户的出行将会变得越来越便利。可充、可换、可升级。截至今天，蔚来已经为用户提供了超过42000次电池升级服务。在本次 NIO Day 期间，就有不少用户选择了灵活升级100度电池，自驾前来合肥。这就是灵活升级一个典型的应用场景。提到电池灵活升级，大家期待的150度电池包，确实让大家久等了，也表示很抱歉。我们已经在进行最后的量产准备，争取早日给大家提供服务。所有的蔚来车辆都可以灵活升级到150度电池包，每一位蔚来用户都能持续享受电池技术进步的红利，让用户享受最便捷的家电服务，一直是我们的目标。2023年，在中国将累计建设超过1700座换电站，2万根充电桩。更完善的家电路线，更强大的充电桩，更智能的换电站，更长续航的电池包，让可充、可换、可升级的体验再次全面提升。我们会一直努力，去实现让家电比加油更方便的愿景。越来越完善的充换电网络，也让我们能够服务越来越广阔的用户群体。今年是蔚来第2代产品开始交付的第1年。3月28号，我们交付了旗舰轿车 ET7。8月28号，我们交付了大5座 SUV ES7。9月30号 ，ET5 开始交付。今天，我们将发布2款对于蔚来来说意义非凡的重磅车型。首先，让我们一起欢迎智能电动旗舰轿跑 SUV 蔚来 EC7。 Elegance is power。EC7感受优雅的力量。大家知道，纯粹、未来感、精致、有温度，是未来设计的基因。如果一定要用一个词去形容未来设计的气质，那就是优雅。EC7每一个角度、每一个细节，都将未来的优雅传示到了极致。优雅来自于最恰当的车身尺寸。EC7长4968，宽1974，高1714，轴距2960。优雅源自于完美的比例和车身姿态，来自于美学与数学的精妙融合。我想特别强调一下 EC7的背部曲线，因为背部曲线的设计是酷配 SUV 的灵魂，也是一个难点。我看过每一款高端酷配 SUV 背部曲线的设计取向，有的稍显慵懒，有的略为凶悍。EC7的背部曲线舒展流畅，恰到好处。优雅来自于张弛有度的表达，向前俯冲的 Shark Nose， 犀利的 Double Dash 日行灯 X 把，探出式的前扰流器。EC7的前脸充满蓄势待发的张力，高肩线、外扩的轮包搭配22寸的大轮圈，整个侧面车身展现出游刃有余的力量。优雅来自于纯粹与凝练。EC7的造型设计摒弃了修饰性的线条，精心打磨有机的形面，让自然光影去塑造结构与韵律。外观的每一处细节，纯平的侧窗、隐藏式的门把手、侧转向灯和隐藏式的高位刹车灯，这些设计反映了我们的设计团队对纯粹的追求。Illuminate 光风尾灯采用了细致3毫米的光导晶体和 Super Red 超红光的 LED 技术，精致利落。优雅来自于将最新的科技融入最纯粹的设计。Design for AD 引领潮流的瞭望塔式传感器布局，我们已经用在中大型轿车 ET7、中大型 SUV ES7 和中型轿跑 ET5上，应用都非常完美。我们看到，在 EC7这样一款酷配 SUV 上，也非常自然地融入，增添了未来感和科技感。 纯粹简约的外观下，应用了最精密、最领先的科技，比如说 EC7的智能多光束大灯，在 Aquila 超远距激光雷达的支持下，我们实现了像素级的高精度分区照明。优雅可以很拉风。EC7 全系标配双模主动升降尾翼，采用7连杆镜像机翼设计，有手动、自动2种模式，分成减阻、极速2个档位。减阻档可以降低4%的启动阻力，极速档最大额外提供650牛的下压力，极大增强了高速驾驶时的操控信心和驾驶乐趣。优雅意味着心境开阔，心有温暖。打开 EC7 的车门，就能感受到一个通透而充满活力的空间。全景玻璃天幕，视野极其开阔。隔音效果提升10%，紫外线的阻隔力达到99.9%。可选装智能调光全景天幕，在全球范围内第一次在电子变色天幕玻璃中采用黑灰的中性基色，不是蓝色的。我们与未来资本投资的光艺科技紧密合作，在1000多种分子结构中探索出全新材料，实现了对380纳米到750纳米整个可见光波段全光谱的均匀吸收与变化，反复调试，终于实现了我们的设计意图。等我们的展车到店了，大家一定去感受一下。这个黑灰基色在更好的阻隔能量的同时，让车外的自然风景仍然能保持原有色相。大家可以刚才看看它的变色的一个模拟效果。车外的颜色，蓝天还是白天，蓝天还是蓝天，白云还是白云，绿树还是绿树，很有质感，非常高级。这也体现了我们对优雅的追求。优雅是一种恰到好处的氛围，纯粹雅致的内饰基调，加以可再生藤木、跳色缝线、主题色金属质感装饰，营造了精致而有活力的氛围。优雅是一种态度。EC7 采用了最前沿的环保科技材质 ，Haptex 合成皮、Microfiber 超纤绒，全部都采用了最新的生物基材料。每一辆 EC7 内饰节省的碳排放，相当于一棵树2年的二氧化碳的吸收量。EC7 拥有同级最好的空间体验，我想特别说一下2排，后排的腿部空间947毫米，纵向空间达到了988毫米。一体式的运动座椅，造型优雅轻盈，高角度的侧翼设计，能在激情驾驶时提供更好的支撑和包裹感。前排座椅标配加热通风按摩背部舒缓，后排座椅标配加热背部舒缓，可以选通风按摩功能。未来独创的女王副驾也经过了全新的升级，可以一键实现零重力舒享姿态，在通透而充满活力的舒适空间中，我们能更好地体验未来全景数字座舱 Panel Cinema。23个扬声器、7.1.4沉淀声系统、杜比全景声、联动光谱式氛围灯，带来了更好、更加沉浸的视听享受。EC7 也为车内的 XR 体验进行了原生设计，可以选装 N-Box 增强娱乐主机，支持多人同时互动娱乐体验。8种外观颜色可供选择，每一种颜色都来自最美的天空，彰显了 EC7 优雅的气质。其中有全新的2023未来年度色 曙光金，这个灵感来自清晨出生的太阳，寓意着朝气与希望。刚才这一台就是曙光金。共有这个颜色非常漂亮，它在不同的反光下，它都有色彩会非常梦幻般的变化啊！大家一定要去现场看。EC7 共有5种自然色系，渲染了空间的优雅格调，包括金沙米、玛瑙黑以及3种全新色彩：乔戈里灰、可可棕以及热情的珊瑚红。漂亮吧？这颜色我都想买，这需要我老婆批准的。优雅源自内在的力量。EC7 将未来的高性能基因发挥到了极致。EC7 是全世界风阻系数最低的 SUV。Shark Nose 前扰流器一体式穹顶、后视镜、间线、后分离线等等，每一个形面、每一个细节都经过了毫米级的优化。风阻系数仅0.230，这么大的一款车，搭载未来第2代高效电驱平台、双电机智能四驱系统、前永磁电机峰值功率180千瓦，后感应电机峰值功率380千瓦，整车最大功率480千瓦，最大扭矩850牛米。0到100公里加速时间仅需3.8秒，是未来加速最快的 SUV。全球最佳风阻系数，加上主电机运用碳化硅功率模块，整车能耗进一步优化。搭载75度电池包，续航可达490公里；搭载100度电池包，续航可达635公里；搭载150度电池包，可以实现940公里的续航。100公里刹车距离仅为33.9米，比同级的酷配 SUV， 比如宝马的 X6， 短了将近5米，相当于一个车身位的距离。配备 Brembo 6活塞卡钳以及380毫米大尺寸打孔通风自动盘，抗热衰的性能全面提升。时速0到130，再到0，全力加速，全力制动，持续10次，制动效果仍然没有衰减。50:50的前后轴合比，让操控更加稳健。EC7 拥有高强度的全铝车身架构，具备超高整车的扭转刚度。采用前双叉臂、后 HM 多连杆的悬架形式，标配智能空气悬架、CDC 动态阻尼控制系统，以及未来自研的智能底盘预控制器 ICC。拥有10种驾驶模式，包括5种基础模式、5种场景模式，每种基础模式都能够支持自定义调节。优雅源自面对未来的信心。EC7 是最智能的酷配 SUV， 搭载单样智能系统，第2代数字座舱、AI 算力、通讯能力都是目前最领先的水平。5屏联动交互体验智能高效，标配16英寸 HUD。Aquila 未来超感系统包含超远距高精度激光雷达等33个高性能感知硬件。Eden 未来超算平台，1016T 神经网络算力，我也相信它在几年内都是算力最强的自动驾驶超级大脑。基于领先的智能硬件与软件 ，EC7 全系标配业界领先的22项安全与驾驶与辅助功能。随着我们的软件更新，体验会越来越好，我们也会逐步开放未来自动驾驶 NAD 服务。 从外观到内饰，从色彩到细节，从性能到智能，从内在的精神到可感知的体验。EC7 完美诠释了优雅的力量。Elegance is power， 让我们一起来感受。感受优雅的力量，智能电动旗舰轿跑 SUV EC7， 按整车购买，75度电车型售价48万8千元，100度电车型售价54万6千元，采用电池租用方式购买，售价41万8千元。EC7 首发版标配100度电池包 ，Napa 高级内饰套装，21英寸多副锐羽轮穿 ，Nomi Mate 2.0气灰尘6活塞卡钳自动套装，按整车购买，售价57万8千元。采用电池租用方式购买，售价45万元。首任车主将获得多项服务权益，包括10年不限里程免费质保、终身免费换电、免费专属充电桩、终身免费道路救援、终身免费车联网。发布完下一款车，我们的配置器会同步开启预定，预定金5000元可以抵扣1万元车价。我们将大体按照意向金顺序交车。现有用户购买 EC7 将获得3万积分红包，创始版用户购买 EC7 将获得5万积分红包。2023年5月 ，EC7 将开启交付。
What do you say? This is the EC7. As you can see, Mira and I have just switched rooms. I hope the internet connection is getting a little bit better. Sorry for the technical issues there. My first impression is that this is kind of similar or targeting mostly BMW and Mercedes buyers. It feels a little bit more to the luxury side to me. That's my impression from just simply the design, but of course it's a very natural progression of the EC6 mark family.
你们有在现场了吗？我们从一根线画起，完全正向研发 ES8。核心的3电3制技术，可充可换可升级的架构，全铝车身、女王副驾、NIO Pilot、Nomi， 很多都是全球首创。ES8 是中国智能电动汽车一个新的起点，也是中国高端汽车品牌一个新的起点。感谢 ES8 用户的支持。截至今年11月底，在全球范围内 我们已经累计交付超过65000台 ES8，65000台，在整个汽车市场中不是很多，但是在 ES8 所在的细分市场，我们实现了历史性的突破。正式交付以来，我们在中国高端3排座 SUV 市场中，和奔驰、宝马、奥迪对应油车的销量不相上下。但是我想特别强调的是，在北京、上海、广州、深圳4个1线城市，也是汽车消费的风向标城市 ，ES8 的销量已经完成了超越。这就是趋势。感谢所有 ES8 用户，一起推动了从传统的燃油车到智能电
I'm
动
really
汽
happy
车的
that Libin
趋
is
势转
making
变。
those remarks because usually we always
我
try
要
and
谢谢大
compare
家
NIO
跟
to
我
the
们一
likes
起
of
走过这段
Li
无与伦
Auto,
比的里程。
XPeng, BYD, even
感谢
Tesla.
所有用户的
But
信任，感谢
you
大家
need
的
to
支
see
持，
in which
谢谢你
segment
们。
NIO is selling. Like, what are the average sales prices, like for the ES8, for example? And it's really
在
a
过去
crazy
4年半里
achievement that they are selling at such high
，ES8 累
volumes
计
in this
行驶里
segment as a
程已经超
newcoming
过
brand. And I
28
think
亿
that's
公里，
also what's really
最多
yeah,
用户
showing the
也
efforts
已
that
经
they're
行
going
驶
with all
近
of the
33万公里。
things like NIO Life, NIO Houses, and so on.
ES8 成为了大家的重要伙伴，在他的陪伴下，我们每个人都经历了人生的成长、事业的发展，认识了新的朋友，探索了新的远方。过去几年是很特别的一段时间，我相信大家都有过这样的时刻，感受到 ES8 是陪伴自己和家人的一个朋友、一个伙伴。我经常被问到，买 ES8 的都是什么样的人？从年龄、地域、职业来说，分布非常广泛，但他们都有共同的特点：在工作上认真进取，对家庭有担当、有责任心，对社会和他人充满善意，对美好生活和精致品味有自己的追求。我认识的 ES8 用户都是这样。
Model Y
很多
Killer, I'm not so
都
sure.
来
I
到了
think
现
this
场。
one, as I mentioned, my first impression is that this is
过去的
aiming
几年
still
中，
very much upmarket.
大家就
And
ES8 的使用体验给
recently,
了我
with
们
the
许多宝贵
price
的建议。
changes of
我
Tesla,
和
they are
团队
going
也一
more and
直
more
在对
down,
用
like in
户的
terms
使
of
用场景
going more
进
to
行
the
分析
large
和思
addressable
考。
market,
我们越来
more the
越
mass
清晰地
market
认识到，
segment,
大家要的
forwarding
不是
some
一
of
台
the
满足单一场景
price
的车，
savings, cost
而是一
savings that
台
they're
能够
having.
满足
And
工
so
作、
NIO is still
家
at a
庭、
different level here
社
with
交、
this
探索
EC7, I
全
would
场
say.
景的
I
车。
think we might
你们
see
要的
a
不仅仅是
similar car to
MPV，
the
不
ET5
仅仅是
in
奶
this
爸车，
EC segment
也不仅
that
仅
is
是越野车，
lower
你们
priced,
都想要。
more affordable, and also targeted as a
你们想要的
at
我也
a
想要，
wider range
因
of
为我也是
customers.
ES8 的用户。
That's why
工
I
作
really
很
like
忙，
this
家里
comment here
3个
by
孩子，
Libin about
有
the
很多
achievements
朋
of
友
the
要见，
ES8.
也会开车
I
远
think
行
with。the
我
EC7
希望
still
它能
that's
更好地
going
满
at a
足
really
我的
large
这些
segment.
需求。
Announcing
我们需要的是
announcing
一台能
new
更好
media
满足工作、家庭、社交、探索全场景需求的旗舰 SUV。朋友们，
I'm really
让我
wondering
们一
if
起
they
欢
have the
迎
monitor in the back.
全新 ES8。 Redefine Prime 从容有度，全场景智能电动旗舰 SUV， 未来全新 ES8。它拥有更大的车身尺寸，车长5099，轴距3070，总体更加舒展，气场更加强大。ES8 的标志性元素和未来第2代设计语言完美融合。
The ES8 got even larger this time. The Chinese really love their big cars, and the ES8 has been a very big car from the very beginning. But it's really great to see this one finally coming to the NT 2.0 platform, because it's gotten quite old already, right? And that's what I mentioned before. Chinese really love to buy the latest stuff. They buy in cars like smartphones, so this is one advantage that NIO has now, having bringing new iterations and new models quite frequent onto the stage. And this is actually something, if you think, for example, about the ET5, which has been produced or designed from the start, from scratch, for 1 year till production. This is something where other car makers are currently struggling, and going forward, I would say this could become a unique advantage of NIO here, and demonstrate it again today. Yeah, with this time just an upgrade of the ES8 here, but I think this will be very well received. In Europe, I think it's maybe having a smaller market, because it's a huge car, but there are lovers of big SUVs in Europe as well, that's for sure. And this is just the latest technology, so that's as good as it gets. Yeah, good comment here. Looks like a Range Rover a little bit, and I can tell you it also drives like a Range Rover, and that is because parts of the NIO team that have been recruited are actually former Range Rover designers and engineers, and this is why this Chinese car doesn't feel like anything like other Chinese cars, you know, from the quality, not only by the looks, but also from the design and you know, the engineering part of it and the driving. So this has very good suspension, almost German-like, you know, feel if you're inside the car and driving. So it's a very unique experience.
传感器和车身的融合混然一体。
Yeah, good point. I think also for the US market that should be popular, because you guys also love very, very large cars, right? In Europe, as I said, not too many people are driving those big cars, but wealthy customers, people with large families, so that's a 7-seater, they really love that as well, of course. So yeah, the Chinese, they usually have the long versions of cars like the BMW, the Audis, the Mercedes-Benz. They all have the long versions, especially in the back. The ET7, I think, is a very great example of lots of space in the back.
我们也再看看尾顶部的设计 ，Design for AD
The
要往
ET7
卡
leader,
车
yeah,
传感器
I
布
know.
局，在全新 ES8 上也非
Maybe
常
next
自
year.
然，非常自豪，持续引领自动驾驶时代的设计。超大全景天窗，采光面积高达1平米，开启面积高达0.6。全新 ES8 有7种车身颜色。
Yeah, I
我身
agree.
边
This
这
is a
两
big
台分别
improvement.
是专属色新橙绿，另外一台是2023年的年度色曙光
And once again, how he pointed out, like the numbers that they're selling of this flagship model, which is very expensive car, is quite amazing given the young stage of the company. I heard that in the premium to luxury segment, NIO has more than 70% of market shares in China. In the EV segment, if they can pull this off also for their sub-brands and smaller cars, this tells you towards a bright future. I mean, that would be very difficult to achieve, to be honest. But seems it's in their DNA, and you know, it's just showing you what this company can do actually at this young stage and with, you know, quite limited resources, if you will. And that will be the challenge
通
going
过
forward
全车60多项的空气动力学优化，
to keep this
整
pace
车
of
的风阻
innovation
系数低至 0.250，
while achieving profitability
更高的
from
电
an
驱效
investment
能，
perspective.
更低的风阻系数，实现了更长
They
的
are
续航。
mentioning the 150 kilowatt hour
75度
battery
电池
here,
包续航为
but
465公里，
no
100 度
news I
电池
heard so
包
far,
续
right,
航为
on the
605公里，
hybrid solid state battery,
150度电池包续
whether or
航为
not this is
900公里。
supposed to come out soon or not.
全新 ES8 采用高强度全铝车身架构，
I mentioned
前
last
后
time
端
that I
一体压
think
车
they,
身
I mean, they're
首
actually
度应
already
用了
producing
全
it,
球最大
maybe
的
not in a large scale, but
8800
that
吨
might
压
not
缩
be
机， 后部
necessary
的
in the
一
very
体式压铸
beginning,
件将31个零
because,
件
this
集成为
is a
一
very
个
expensive battery and it's for
全新的
those
智能双
long
腔空
distance
气悬架， 拥
use
有向
cases
下
mainly.
50毫米、向上40
But
毫米、
I have
空
the
气
suspicion that I
90
also
毫
kind
米
of
的
a little
高
bit
度调
waiting
节
on
范
what
围，
are the competitors doing
结
in
合
terms
第
of
三代
battery
动态
innovation,
悬架
because
主
this
仪控
hybrid
制，
solid state
在不
battery
同驾驶模式
will
下，
be industry
操
leading
控性
and
和承受舒适性都得
the
到了全
range
面提
and
升。
also the high
我
energy
屏幕上
density,
列的这些
no one else
都
has it
是
on
标准
on the
配置，
market yet. So I think
在
they
看不见
possibly
的地方
wait a little
真
bit
材
here.
实料，
That's my feeling
为车辆的
to
安
have
全、操
something
控
to
和性能
release once
不妥
competition is
协、
catching up
不
with them.
取巧，是未来产品开发的理念。
Thanks, Andrea.
我认为
Maybe I
也
missed this
是
one while
评
switching
价
rooms,
一辆
so
高
let me
端
know
车
what else
的
I missed
基本标准。
in the comments.
全新
What else
ES8
was
搭载最先
presented
进的
or
Aquila 未来超感系统和
I missed
Adam
so
超算
far.
平台。Aquila 未来超感系统拥有33个高性能感知硬件 ，Adam 超算平台拥有1016T 神经网络算力。全系标配业界领先的22项安全与驾驶辅助功能。我们也将逐步开放
Yes, exactly. The
NAD 服务。
150 kilowatt hour battery
下面
with around 1,000 kilometers in
我带
range,
大
or
家
here they
来
are
欣
saying
赏内
900.
饰空间。
That's a hybrid
智
solid
能
state
电
battery,
吸
so it's
门
not
联动
fully
10多项
solid
功能，
state.
让
It's
进出体
produced
验
by a company called
更加方
WeLion
便、
in Beijing. NIO
更
has an
加从容。
investment. I covered that up
第
last
二
year
起居室的理念，
through some
针
legal
对
filings,
ES8 全
and
场景旗舰
we had
SUV
a
的定位，
ceremony
进
earlier
行了
this
深
year
化
where
设计，
they
在纯粹
yeah,
精致有温
basically
度的
kicked
未
off
来同
production.
品内饰
However,
和
they're
基础
not
上，我们
delivered
突
yet.
出了高
But
质感、
yeah, as I pointed
开
out, I
阔的
think
环抱式
that's
空
kind of
间，
an ace up their
搭配
sleeves
未来
once
SUV 创
competitors
新
catch
的
up
双
with
层中控台布局，
more advanced
视觉
batteries.
上更富层次感。
And to be
空
honest,
调
this
出
is
风
not a
口， 氛围
mass-produced
灯
battery
进
in
行了
terms
巧
of
妙的隐藏式设计，
that every NIO car, well, potentially
从
every NIO
中
car
控
can
台
swap it in,
门板
right?
一
But
直延伸到前
it's
排中央扶
unlikely
手
to
等
be
区域，
adopted by
采
every
用
NIO
大面
users
积的
just
软包
because
覆、
it's a very
材
expensive
质、
piece of
触感
battery
和
and
色
you
彩，我们
don't
都进行了
always
用
need
心设计。
1,000 kilometers of range.
创
So
新的柔
maybe
光
for the
性装饰，
most affluent
全新
users
的
and for
换
some
挡
long
拨杆
distance
和隐藏
traveling
式
use
的杯托，
cases.
充满巧思，使用便利。全新的双色方向盘和方向盘拨杆，精致易用。这个高级呢，我们也体现在对可持续理念的追求。Clean Plus 可再生藤木，触感天然，大斗机座椅发泡，单车可降低5到6公斤的碳排放。高级来自于关爱 ，Haptex 合成皮与超纤绒的顶棚，经过了抗菌耐污的工艺处理。 我们也通过了最高等级，也就是婴儿级的认证。同级领先的智能5区独立空调系统，能更好地照顾到车上的每一个人。这也是我们定义的全场景旗舰 SUV 必须的一个体验。 标配3种香氛气味，也包括一款新的香氛气味林间1号。5种内饰主题色：云贝米、乔格里灰、玳瑁棕、松绿、远山带。低饱和度的色彩，我们源自大地的灵感。
So although this
营
is
造
the
了
flagship for now, the ES8, NIO's most
全新
advanced
ES8 的
and
座舱
expensive car,
是一个融合最新科
there
技
is a
的
rumor
智
that
能
they're
移动
working on an even more luxurious one, which might exceed $100,000 in average selling price, competing with Mercedes-Benz. But we'll see. For now, I think this one should be a very good bang for the buck, if you will.
16.3英寸，显示面积是之前的2.5倍，显示内容更加丰富，支持6英区控制，坐在第3排也可以与 Nomi 轻松交互，小朋友不用喊那么大声了。Panel Cinema 进一步升级，体验进一步提升。增强版 7.1.4 沉浸式音响系统，功率高达2230瓦，共23个顶级材质的扬声器，包括大功率的低音和4个3D 扬声器。Yeah,
that's an interesting comment, Andrea. Miriam was also just speculating that she thought maybe there will be another screen introduced in the back seats, similar to, for example, what Li Auto is doing. Well, they're obviously very family-oriented car, right?
The new BMW.
Yeah,
The
or
cinema screen in the back.
Yep. But NIO's not going that way, and I think that's because of the AR glasses which they have. So they are not depending too much on actual physical hardware for screens, but rather trying to offer an even larger, better experience with the AR glasses.
Yeah, more into mixed reality. That's also what he said before. More immersive experience.
120公里时速，高速行驶时仅为61.4分贝，明显优于竞品车型。标配 N-Box 增强娱乐主机，支持同时连接4副 AR 眼镜，相当于拥有4块等效6米的201寸巨幕。AR 的接口位置与座椅更好匹配。 从每个座位连接都非常便利，适合各种场景的单人、多人互动娱乐、远程。
Right, so that's what we just said. The AR glasses are the concept here instead of screens, which makes the layout much more lean and also, less dependent on hardware. I actually like this approach. However, I have to say I haven't checked out the glasses yet personally. So, Unreal, if you're watching this, we want to check it out.
完全正向开发了。 未来高端座椅平台
I think it just gives them a lot of flexibility. The car itself will not be outdated because you can swap the battery and improve the battery. So then also you wouldn't want to have like an old screen inside. And an AR you can easily upgrade as well.
Yep, that fits very well with this concept of upgradability, which basically NIO really is executing best, I would say, in the car industry, or having more at the core of their business model than others, with the upgradable batteries, the upgradable hardware. And now actually even, that's the thing about this flexibility of the NIO subscription, because basically you can even switch between the cars. And that comes also once again together with introducing many models, updating them often, many iterations of latest hardware and technology, because in the end, if you subscribe to NIO, then you can basically switch between different models. But also, if in 2 years a new car is coming out, you can just basically switch to the latest version, which is great in my point of view. Essentially, or especially as a business owner, this makes a lot of sense, because then you don't want to buy or own the car anyways, because of the way how the taxation works. So I think there are.
Comparing
为2排的创新舒适体验打下了很好的基础。第2排宽式座椅拥有超越 MPV 的坐垫宽度，达到了550毫米。做一个对比。 丰田的阿尔法是525毫米，550毫米已经是家居单人沙发坐垫的通常宽度。在这样的宽式座椅上，你可以很自由地变换坐姿。2排的2个座椅都配备电动脚托和12项的电动调节，靠背可调节到135度。创新不止于此。 我们设计了一个宽度达到237毫米，采用柔软皮质包覆的行政中岛。如果你把ES8的这个座舱比喻成为客厅，这个行政中岛就是客厅中的茶几。行政中岛的上层可以电动伸缩。我可以提前剧透一下，我们针对 NIO
Very nice. Finally, they are introducing a fridge as well, like Li Auto has already. So kind of give credit here to Li Auto. They invented it, if you will. I think that's he's smiling. That's catering the needs and taste of the Chinese consumer, having a little fridge in the back. You were actually thinking, why don't they introduce热水, like warm water, because that's also a cultural thing in China, in back of the cars. But yeah, look at this nice little minibar. So when they have a robo-taxi fleet at some point in the future, where battery swapping, by the way, also comes in handy, they can even sell some bottles of champagne inside. By the way, we should crack a bottle of champagne again, so just to make the NIO stock price tank again. Huh?
分区调节通风背部舒缓系统，1、2排的4座都有记忆功能，以及同级少有的
Yes, I think what Andrew is saying is also very true. Especially in China, they love to retrofit their cars with their own media.
第3排也采用环抱式设计，座椅分区加热，靠背8度电动调节，
Yeah, and the point that here Nokia hacks made, yeah, screens can get outdated very quickly and look not so nice anymore.
By the way, I think the technical issue right now is actually from the original.
On the stream.
Yeah.
Yep, that's not us, that's the stream.
能够满足全新 ES8 这样一款旗舰 SUV 车内全场景乘坐体验。
Censored internet.
宽敞舒适的空间。
Can you smell the Christmas dinner already?
座舱创新的座椅体验，可以满足工作、家庭、社交、探索。
Yeah, during the live event in Berlin, they also had some technical issues. And I blame the Germans on that. But seems they're having some issues here as well. And we had it too today. Sorry about that. I think that's actually our live streaming provider which had the issues. So I'm checking here. Our Wi-Fi is actually stable, and even on the German countryside. To be fair enough. But anyways, let's enjoy this event together.
当然，它也可以陪你和家人和朋友一起去尽情探索远方，可以拖挂2吨。刚才我给大家介绍的是带中岛的行政版，你也可以根据自己的需要选择带2排中央通道布局的全新 ES8。宽敞中央通道加一体式宽大扶手的创新布局，在 SUV 和 MPV 车型中都是少有的，同样能满足全场景的需求。有很多朋友老问我说，未来什么时候出 MPV？ 这肯定比 MPV 好。没有超跑性能的 MPV 不是好 SUV。2排座椅有多达14项电动调节功能，配备转轴式的坐垫延长和坐垫前端抬起的功能。接下来，让我们一起欣赏全新 ES8 给我们带来的全新体验。
All right, I just switched to the Chinese Weibo stream here because it seems like there is an issue with the international stream. but this one is now from Weibo directly. So this one will not have the won't have the subtitles, unfortunately, but Miriam and I try to help you out. At least the video is better than the YouTube stream.
从容有度 redefine prime， 这就是全新 ES8， 将从容外观、强大性能、智
You
能
can
驾
tell the
驶、
people on the
高
YouTube
级
live
空间、
stream
宽
of
适
the
座
NIO
椅
page that we have the
并且
original
融为
from
一体，
Weibo without problems.
一台能满足工作、家庭、社交、探索全场景使用需求的旗舰 SUV。中央通道版本的全新 ES8 75度车型，售价52万8。100度电车型售价58万6，采用电池签名版标配100度电池包 ，Napa 高级内饰套装，21英寸多副。
Right, switching back to the YouTube stream to give you guys the subtitles. Man, what a NIO day. Lots of technical issues here on both our side as well as
签名版
YouTube.
按整车购买售价
Anyways, let's go through this.
63万8千元，采用电池租用方式购买，售价51万元。首任车主将获得多项服务权益，包括10年不限里程免费质保、终身免费换电、免费专属充电桩、终身免费道路救援、终身免费车联网。即刻起正式开启全新 ES8 预定，预定金5000元可抵扣1万元车价，我们将大体按照意向金顺序交车。现有用户购买全新 ES8 将获得3万积分红包，创始版用户将获得5万积分红包。此外，创始版用户购买全新 ES8 还将获得15800元购车换新红包。非创始版的 ES8 用户购买全新 ES8 将获得10800元的购车换新红包。创始版用户购买全新 ES8 还将获得创始用户专属定制包，包括专属B柱的定制徽章、专属头枕压印和专属尾标。明年6月开启交付。
So these incentives, making sure that existing NIO owners who are maybe owner of an old ES8 get some reductions of the price. So typical Chinese e-commerce fashion,
我们还邀请到了一位特别嘉宾，他的音乐温暖而有力量，也是我的安徽老乡。让我们一起在他的歌声中感受光与温暖。有请李荣浩登场。
No, singing. Maybe. Yeah, delivery times in July is kind of surprising me a little bit because that means they have a difficult time.
June,
yeah, in June to manage the transition between the old ES8 and the new one. So, well, of course, ES8 orders should come down now anyways because of the older platform, but now that they announced the new model already, of course that's creating the difficulty that people will start waiting for the new models, right? Seems somebody excited.
Tell us more about him.
我却左手毁掉，也曾一起想。
Yeah, that's actually also one part that NIO is managing actively. By the way, NIO is of course also, let's say, affiliated with Yuxin, another Chinese, or Yoxin, Chinese secondhand car platform. That's actually also one of the backgrounds of Li Bin as a founder in the car industry, managing a second or a car online platform. So we can expect more and more in this whole journey of managing from the first purchase till your second purchase and so on, the whole lifetime cycle. That's once again referring to what I'm always saying about a new business model, which is not so much about, let's say, comparing it with Tesla, the declining cost curve and decreasing cost and improving margins. Instead, for NIO, it's creating as many touch points with the user as possible and monetizing all of these touch points along the way. But rather the customer lifetime value that should be increased over time. And that's far more in a, I would say, e-commerce type of thinking. I'm making a little bit less noisy here in the background. Thanks for the reminder. Merry Christmas. I think you're Jeff from San Francisco, right? Greetings. We actually still have a flight to
San Fran.
Los Angeles, is it? Yeah, we should go to the West Coast. The new ES8 will be delivered mid next year, it seems. Was it June? Was it July? June. Okay. Yeah, I thought actually, I was actually thinking in my head it was for March, because they're usually quite fast when they announce it till they actually start delivering it. But maybe they also made some experiences with the ET7, ET5 and so on quite recently, that they might want to be more on the safe side with new models in terms of, I think it's been very chaotic with NIO in the last couple of months to switch between the NT 1.0 to the NT 2.0 platform and all of those new model introductions. So I guess they want to have a little bit more of a smooth sail in 2023. That's my impression here. So it will be difficult to manage this transition, frankly, from an order perspective. We'll see. We'll see. Nice day. East Coast, no, the West Coast, of course. That's many hours behind. What's the local time there? Thanks for getting up early and joining us here in the live stream. That's awesome. Wow, amazing. That's really amazing. Will we get heavy discount on the ES8 till June? I'm not so sure. NIO is not working too much with very heavy discounts recently. I think for the ES8, the orders or the volume is quite low already anyways, because the EL7 or ES7 is more popular as the latest model. But of course, if you want the 7-seater and the most premium flagship, you want to get the ES8. So let's see what they'll do with that.
没关系，今天非常开心可以来到这个 New Day 唱歌给大家听哈。马上也要新年了，在这里提前祝大家新年快乐，新年都健康，好吧
？Agree. The technology level seems to be increasing. Now the latest platform is very exciting with what they can offer. And NIO Phone, what did we hear about the NIO Phone?
I don't know, because you were speaking. So they're trying to make some sort of fun introduction right now. It's like, what? You didn't hear me?
What do you think? Do we get one more thing?
Yeah, I think they won't finish the event before 2 p.m.
You think so? I'm not sure. It's already...
So what I wish for But that now he says like, okay guys, and here are the new ET5 owners, go outside and get your car. That would be so awesome. I would cry.
Yeah, I really hope that as I speculated before, there would be a need
For some sort of event like this.
a neat twist to this event if they make kind of a mass delivery for some ET5 with all of the people present. I mean, there have been some people traveling, like I pointed out, like Jay in Shanghai was driving 500 kilometers to Hefei to attend this event. So it's quite awesome.
And I love mass events in China. Like, do you remember when Jack Ma used to make these weddings for his employees? So they would make a show out of it, and like all his employees who were about to get married, he kind of married them.
Yeah, the Chinese are really good at organizing such big events. So let's see how they really achieve those December targets, if at all. As I've pointed out before, if you missed this introduction, I was pointing out earlier, I made 2 videos about this matter of December deliveries that I think my personal expectations are around 16K, if that's possible, given what I saw around COVID shutdowns with the factory, but also people not as outgoing during December picking up cars, but they may have some triggers that they can pull. For example, I'm not sure yet with all the European cars whether or not they can count into deliveries, and maybe some sort of a bigger event, more organized delivery push by the end of December. We'll see. Anyways, on the whole entire year, this gives us between 35% growth to, let's say, 42% growth, so the year-over-year growth is within this range. And I think how Li Bin already pointed it out in the segment where they are in the stage of the company, that's quite impressive already. Although I have to say, I personally also had higher expectations and hopes. And by the way, even NIO management pointed to much higher numbers in the beginning of this year. But given what all of the things that happened during the years, with all of the, Shanghai lockdown, all of the zero COVID policies, it's been definitely very, very challenging. So let's hope 2023 gets much better.
Yeah, let's quickly talk about the AR glasses. So it's AR glasses, not VR glasses.
This one?
Yes, and as Andrea already pointed out, they are available in China and the US already. You can purchase them even without a car, obviously.
真的好久了，我挺感动的。其实上来的时候有点感动。对，然后最后一首歌，对，是我的。很多人因为这首歌知道我，会唱的跟我一起唱，好吧？对，是跟我今天这个衣服的颜色是一样的。
He's singing the song about white.
About what?
It's a song about the color of his clothes.
Okay.
So white, I guess.
Reminds me of the
Sheryl Crow.
The Dabai, the hazmat suits.
Horrible.
Yeah, that's really the theme in China. Alright, so this is the comment that we missed around a NIO phone hint that the ESA charger will also be compatible. But by the looks, it seems that there will be a separate event for it, which also makes a little bit of sense, right? Yeah, and I mentioned before, I haven't done a video on it yet, because I didn't want to speculate or hype it up too much, but I personally see it as an extension of the AI bot Nomi out of the car into the hands of customers, accompanying them along the way if they're not driving in the car. And so I'm not really thinking about it too much as an actual phone, because I think that would really kind of come closer together with the vision of NIO and also how they think about their users. But let's see. Maybe there will be some more leaks and hints in the future. With interesting hirings in this regard, of course, from Meitu, so this AI company in Hangzhou, which we actually also visited, close to Alibaba, which have those interesting, all those facial
Face filters.
face
It's
filters.
basically like Snapchat. They're pioneering the Chinese market, and they very early on said we need our own gadgets, so you could buy Meitu phones, like for creating awesome content really early on.
So that's a small, not so recognized company, but they NIO recruited people. I think even the founder of that company, specifically for your phone or what might be an AI assistant in your hands. Let's describe it like this. We'll see. And by the way, this is also something you can expect from our ET7 video, which will be produced at whenever I find the time. Yeah, I'm still, fingers crossed, still promising it to you guys, but Nomi is playing a big part of it. I think it's really a unique experience with what Nomi has to offer.
Yeah, I think it's also coming from Ted Lee himself. His background was in a startup where they kind of tried to anticipate user behavior with artificial intelligence, and this is what he wants to bring into.
Yeah, by the way, Ted Lee, he's the NIO designer, chief designer, or what's the exact name of his role. And we met him also during the Berlin event, and he's a very, very young guy.
Very eloquent.
Very eloquent, very good English. So I would hope to hear more presentations by him directly, actually. He's doing all of the interface, the UI, UX design. And he was actually the first employee, right, of NIO?
No, one of the first.
Yeah, in the founding team of Liebin. So they know each other through thick and thin, and really interesting that lots of people in very high positions are actually quite young at NIO.
Yes, it's very Chinese to have.
Yeah. Actually, also, that was my impression also during the Berlin event with NIO House. Lots of the German employees are also very young.
谢谢黄义达和 NIO 办，谢谢用户顾问团的才华，也谢谢我们所有的志愿者的付出，感谢所有来到现场的用户朋友们，也感谢所有在镜头前、在屏幕前收看直播的朋友们，谢谢你们！提前祝大家新年快乐，祝大家身体健康，明年NIO再见。依然，谢谢，特别棒，特别棒，谢谢，谢谢，谢谢。
All right, this seems to be the event. Miriam is a bit disappointed that it's ending here. Maybe expecting some more announcements here. What's missing? No updates on international expansion. Well, I'm not sure if they have to at this time. Actually, I think lots of is happening in Europe. More and more NIO houses coming online. Battery swap stations, I think they are getting very, very close to their target of 20 stations in Europe. I think 18 they might realize. In our Patreon community, actually, we have a guy who's, excuse me, caught a little cold, who's actually tracking all those swap stations over Europe and their current status of how far they have been actually building them already. So I think lots of things are happening. I think, of course, what everyone is waiting for a little bit is the expansion to the US. I think they will take a little bit more time given the US-China tensions and given that, frankly speaking, the American car market is quite small in the area of EVs compared to China and Europe, right? So it doesn't make sense to go full steam into the American market where you face lots of challenges if that market is quite small. However, I do think there are lots of prospective buyers for NIO cars in the US. So at some point of time, they will do it and announce it. What else here? German car testers are so known by Nomi. Well, not us, I can tell you. Yeah, I do agree it's having some flaws at the current stage, and it's getting, you need some time to getting used to it. However, and that was my experience, so as a spoiler to our coming ET7 video, by the end of the day of driving in the NIO, and we only had it for like an hour or almost 2 hours, you don't want to use the touch screen anymore. You actually want to, already just tell Nomi everything what she should do. That's kind of my experience for now. And yeah, I do think once Nomi is getting better and better on the European versions too, this will be a powerful, distinct feature.
Absolutely,
going forward.
And they know it. That's why they set up the NIO office in Berlin to develop this.
Yep, they're hiring professionals in the area. And, this, as I mentioned, like with the NIO phone, this might extend into something else beyond the car. With the, digital assistants are not only about the car in the future, I guess. Tesla is going its own way with the Optimus, which I think is a different use case and application. NIO possibly thinks more about, NIO life, like the NIO user experience, right? Whereas Tesla may venture more into this manufacturing aspect of having robots actually in the manufacturing industry once they cracked the big issue of autonomous driving, because you need kind of FSD, this how you say, the front and back end ready and working in order to transition into robots. So I think that's a big vision, as always, with Elon Musk. It's not quite clear yet if they can really get there at some point in time. But frankly, he's trying to, and well, don't doubt Elon Musk, although despite all of the shambles that he's doing with selling Tesla shares and, political comments on Twitter, you need to take him serious. And if somebody can do it, then maybe the guy who's landing rockets coming back from outer space. So who knows? But NIO, once again, I would say, is on a different vision here when it comes to the digital assistant, Nomi, and the NIO phone, actually, despite even now Tesla and Elon Musk also announcing to venturing into phones, possibly.
There is a question related to that, and I think don't you maybe also even want to make a video about it?
Which one is it? Massa, could you elaborate more about strategies that many phone producers announced entry into the car production industry? Apple, Huawei, NIO goes to phone industry for exchange. Interesting. Yeah, actually, I think one interesting development here is watching Apple and Huawei and what they are doing. I think particularly I've been doing some work recently diving into the Huawei Harmony operating system, and it's looking quite good, to be frank. And this could be very powerful. And actually, one of the feedbacks that I'm getting currently, for example, even from NIO users, they're asking like, why can I not plug my CarPlay, so Apple CarPlay, right? And of course, Tesla and NIO both have no interest in having those external manufacturers or companies having a say within their ecosystem. So they are refusing to let them in. They are not open to all of those functionalities. But for the legacy automakers, that might be quite interesting what Huawei and Apple are doing there, because they are frankly more advanced on a software and technical level and might provide a good user experience between the phone and the car. And Huawei is actually doing very interesting stuff in this area, seamless transition between phone and the car. And so that is something which I would say could be, frankly, a challenge to both Tesla and NIO in a way. And they both have to see that they are developing their own ecosystem that is at least on par with that. On the other hand, where I think they will never be as good as a Tesla or a NIO is in the area of manufacturing and producing cars. Actually, I think for them it's a way of venturing in this industry. So I'm very doubtful about the prospects of an Apple car. The Huawei cars are looking actually quite good, to be honest. Like the Ito are possibly challenges even to Tesla, like on this lower range, and the BYD. However, I'm not sure if this is any competition, for example, to a brand like NIO, which is, a real international brand and having just a simply different value proposition there. But for example, Huawei can also leverage some stuff like the existing store spaces and, as I said, software, and they're quite good actually at the autonomy side of things. So there are some interesting videos out there with some self-driving cars based on Huawei software. Do you want to add to that?
Yeah, no, I think it's underestimated what great of a brand Huawei is in China. It's very well recognized. Maybe we can add this comment here. Sorry. No,
Which one?
This one, yes. So NIO is working on an Android phone, whereas Musk wants to offer a different operation system. And yes, that's true. But I think for the Chinese market, it's not so much of a problem because Chinese users anyways are used to have an Android phone and have an Apple iPhone. So
not Android anymore.
Huh?
Now with Huawei and the ban. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. The point I think is that what do I want to say? That basically NIO wants to have them in their system, but they don't necessarily need their own operation system for now for that, I think. This question was asked quite often previously.
Which one? This one?
The lithium.
Oh yeah, lithium prices are an issue for NIO and for the entire industry, I would say. They're coming down, luckily, now. So it's getting better. And I think particularly with the possible global issues of entering a recession, maybe some EV competitors actually even going out of business, and some of the legacy OEMs actually might be struggling on a cost basis in the future, given their high debt and now rising interest rates. I think there might be the potential that the prices are hopefully coming down a bit. Frankly, I think it might be quite difficult to hedge against rising prices in terms of, with some financial products like options or something like this, because you can get burned on this one as well pretty easily. So everything that can help here may actually happen on the innovation side of things. Like that's where I guess Tesla might have a good stance as being a very high volume producer already in this area and having nice innovation improvements all of the time, bringing down cost and stuff. But yeah, of course, at some point, if lithium prices are going up further and further, you can't really hedge that, really. Yep. Your question about battery swap stations, they will be automated fully in the future, and they didn't mention it explicitly, I think, if I haven't missed it during this event today. But there are already some in China where it's fully automated, and I guess especially for Europe that will be very important in the future, given the pricing issues or the cost issues for employing people. But they have the potential of just doing that. That's I guess the long-term future. And then I mentioned that one before. The interesting part about battery swapping as an ecosystem, a network, is also in a potential future of autonomous driving cars, that they can go to battery swap stations and swap by themselves on their own. I think that's a very good advantage here, in contrast to just supercharging, which could be optimized, of course, also with some bots possibly in the future. But then you rather want to swap in a fully charged battery already that is basically charged as a service in a housing, like a battery swap station, right? And now with the latest 3.0 battery swap station, that's of course with a larger capacity, and in a fully autonomous future somewhere down the line, you could have potentially very large swapping stations or houses, buildings that having many batteries, and it can happen very, very fast. So who knows? I think NIO's autonomous strategy for now is maybe focused a little bit more on the aspects of safety and giving some more convenience to drivers, not so much as where Tesla is pushing with lots of hands-off driving, but also working within its own limits currently. And so in 2023, we hopefully also see those iterations coming forward. They were announced for Q4 this year. We only have now a closed beta of the closed beta version of the NIO Pilot Plus being tested in China right now. I've seen some improvements with this already. But this is not really yet the NAD subscription, right? Which also gives us those high margin revenues in the future. I guess we will have to see more work happening with the AD team in the background. Yeah, Andrea, I think that this strategy by NIO is fitting more to I would say, Chinese audience who are expecting a little bit more of diversification. And as I mentioned before, NIO strategy certainly is to have more iterations, a faster cadence of new models. And I think that's also why they're trying to introduce this subscription model. I think it's becoming part of the business model that NIO is managing the entire life cycle from the first purchase, or actually from the attention, generating the interest till the first purchase, and then the second and the third purchase, and so on. Whereas for Tesla, it's more about those cost efficiencies and having just a few models. But to be honest, right now, this is also falling a little bit back on Tesla's feet right now in China. I think that's maybe partly why they're having some weaker demand numbers. The numbers in the last couple of weeks have been not as expected, to be frank. We'll see if this is just a temporary thing, because frankly, I think the cars are really good. They're fine. They should address a large audience, especially if they can continue to lower the prices. I think it's very attractive. It's a very good technology in terms of efficiency and range. It's giving you lots of value for the car, really. So they are choosing to go with fewer models. That's why they are also now industry leading in terms of the margins. However, NIO has also pointed out that in the future, with this latest platform, they have the potential to reach 25% margin, and that's just the update from the latest NIO earnings call, actually even exceeding that. But we are very early stages. We haven't even ramped the ET5 yet really to a large volume. So let's see how those numbers really look like. But that's the nice part about 2023 and going forward, that all of the models will finally be on the last and the latest platform. And that should also drive those scaling effects, efficiencies of scale. Maybe Miriam, you can talk about NIO brands and the impressions in Germany so far, because you're, let's maybe say, the more emotional person.
Personally, I liked it a lot. I did have the feeling that everyone who was in the in a NIO house on Friday as well as on Saturday was really excited about the experience. They really felt that it was capturing momentum, that it was designed towards the European crowd and especially to the Berlin crowd. It was really well perceived. Like people really liked that it was designed for the local community. It was a little bit funny because some of the things weren't done yet. So, for example, here and there, you could see some plugs hanging out and this kind of stuff, like from the ceiling, and some doors couldn't close or this kind of thing. But even though the Germans are very picky on that stuff, so there's this German thing, so all German men, they always walk around and knock on everything to check whether or not the quality is good. But in a NIO house, everyone was so excited that it wasn't a problem. So I was really impressed by that because Germans are really picky about this kind of stuff, but they were all willing to totally ignore it and just like.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly will be a difficult task to fill this NIO house with life. I mean, we got to see how this is working in a European context and if people will adapt it. What my first impression was, what is really working is to generate traffic. Like
Yes.
I mean, the position of this NIO house in Berlin is amazing. There's lots of foot traffic, lots of people. Even, when it was just an invite-only event, there were queuing up and lining up outside and were actually taking photos from outside. I've seen, well, as you know, we're now not in Berlin currently, but yesterday some user posted on Twitter that he's been to the NIO house and it was actually quite packed. So that's now the normal foot traffic. So going forward, I will monitor this more closely because this is actually, in the end, what is it? It's brand building, it's marketing. And instead of wasting money on, say, Twitter, on Instagram, on Facebook, those advertising dollars, what NIO is doing, they're placing those houses at strategic positions where their target group is and where people are generating actually the impressions on their own. They are taking pictures, they're sharing it on social media, and yeah, that's, I think, the aspect that is working already in Germany. But what I'm not so sure yet about is how this community actually will be working. Right?
I think but they already had a couple of community events,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is really interesting because, for example, Link & Co, they didn't manage to do a lot so far.
Yeah.
And this house just opened for a week. And they already generated a lot of traffic. And then you remember they have this podcast booth. So you can rent this place for free. Like you just need to sign up and then you can make your podcast there. And even though the room itself wasn't finished yet, it was booked for the whole month of January already. So I was like, yeah, cool. I'm going to come around and start a podcast. And they're like, yeah, maybe February.
Yeah, they have really strong collaborations coming up, like OMR, which is the online marketing rock stars, is a quite famous brand for podcasts and in Germany. And yeah, they will all be collaborating and doing content from NIO houses, as we will likely do as well. So yeah, let's see. This is hopefully the unique potential of this approach. I know many people only see this as an expensive journey here with NIO houses, but I think you need to give NIO credit here that this is actually helping to create attention and a first touch point with users offline, right? So it's, of course, somewhat limited. It's different to online, but we'll see going forward how this will help to build a brand image and generate sales, because, of course, in the end, it's all about sales.
But if you think about the location itself, it's just so awesome because everyone in Germany who's traveling to Berlin will get out of this one fucking tube station.
Yeah. And not only and not even people from Germany, but also from all over Europe.
Movie premieres are there.
Yeah.
We have all the celebrities who are going to this hotel, which is next door. I think that's, it's strategically very well positioned.
Yep. So here's another question. NID was introduced to the general public in very early stage. It's quite clear that the tech is not ready yet. I was expecting more updates on this regard. Yes, I agree. I would also love to have more updates on this topic. Unfortunately, I think maybe NIO Day isn't the right context for doing this. I would rather see maybe similar to what Tesla is doing, like a nerdy tech event with some of the people that we've just mentioned, like Ted Lee from the
In
UX
China,
UI
they
design.
have it sometimes.
They have some blog posts about it, yeah, on the NIO app, for example. But maybe, yeah, and some talks as well, right? But yeah, they should do this more international. Maybe, I don't know why they don't bring, for example, Ren Singh, so the AI guy leading the autonomous team, more on the stage, because I think he's appears to be a smart, charismatic person. So these are some things that we may see in the future. But as you said, yeah, of course, they have no level 4 autonomy ready yet. It's just that the hardware has the potential, and on the software side, they're working on it. And then we'll see iterative introductions of those features, I would say. And I would also add to this that given Chinese culture and importance of the safety aspect, I don't expect them to be as outgoing as, for example, a Tesla, basically making users to beta testers of a full self-driving fleet there. I think that would not be recognized in China in the early stages, maybe at some point in time later. Yep, more events, more exposure. Maybe they should do something like this in the NIO houses, even in in Europe. That would be great. Yeah, I also met an early ET7 customer. I think he's subscribing to it, a German guy. He's one of the leading voices about artificial intelligence in Germany. So that's also speaking to itself that those kind of people are starting driving NIO cars and getting interested in it. And maybe they can invite people like them talking about their personal work and then connect it to what NIO is doing very silently in the background with, for example, developing their own AI chips, autonomous driving hardware and software. The algorithms are all in-house, and now increasingly also working to more hardware that is self-designed in the future. Here's a question about Chinese government support for NIO. I think that's maybe one of the misconceptions. I think the Chinese government does not endorse or support one specific company. What they do is, of course, they give subsidies to the entire industry. For example, purchasing incentives, some incentives for getting license plates, which is difficult and quite cost heavy in China. And then battery swapping specifically is also subsidized. And there is, I would say, some collaboration with NIO there, or not collaboration, but the subsidies are kind of targeted to NIO in a way, yeah, because they have lowered the threshold in a way that NIO still benefits from it. However, they basically support all of the battery swapping systems in China. So it's not NIO specific, it's only that NIO is kind of leading in this area. And so, the local government in Hefei is having a minor stake in NIO, in the Chinese entity, but NIO has purchased more and more shares, so they are kind of getting bought out of the company. And it's just a local government. Always remember when NIO suffered almost their bankruptcy, they went to Beijing and tried to get funding in the capital, so close to central government, and they didn't get funding there. So I think it's a myth that the Chinese government is supportive for one specific player there. I don't think that that's the way they are working. People always pay too much attention to the influences of the Chinese government in this regard. And so I think the Chinese government certainly has a very strategic focus on making the whole entire EV industry in China big, not only in China, helping them grow internationally. But that will benefit all of the EV players and basically, or honestly, also Tesla with a wholly owned subsidy in China, and also some of the older players. Yeah, that's one of those, the incident that just happened with the Tesla Model Y, I think it was in China, where there have been a couple of, casualties. I think that was really a big issue for Tesla's brand image and value in China. And yeah, you certainly don't want to have a similar issue like that with NIO and around self-driving. That would be not as good, of course. And NIO already had the issues with one of their test cars falling out of a building, a testing site in Shanghai, and killing, I think, one of the employees. So yeah, I think the Chinese are much more conservative on that. So all in all, that's the question by Emil Schulz here. Is this NIO Day a hit into the right direction? What do you say, Miriam?
No, maybe you go first.
Well, I would say I would sum it up with the word that this is very solid. It shows that NIO has entered a new stage of development. They're now bringing their car to the latest platform. So it's not the super surprise like, let's say, 2020 when they announced the hybrid solid state battery and the Aquila AD system and the ET7, right? This was mind blowing because it was completely new. This time feels more like a incremental improvement. However, I think this is adding a lot of value to NIO, and so I think it's a success what they have shown. Both the ES8 and the EC7 are looking fabulous in my point of view. I think there's much more which they haven't shown today, with what I talked initially about the sub-brands, that are possibly coming, some other models under the NIO brand, which are possibly being introduced soon, the NIO phone.
But actually, now that I think about it, it makes sense that they are not announcing the sub-brands on a NIO Day. They need to make a new event with the new brands at the core.
Yeah, and it would also be kind of too much, although the Chinese really love to bundle lots of things into one thing. But it was a little bit more mature also, with the NIO band in the beginning.
Yeah,
more catered maybe to the Western needs. But yeah, all in all, I would say very solid event where I am happy that it happened actually during this point of time with COVID ramping through China. So yeah, should be good in terms of exposure. Once again, this was mainly catered to the needs of the Chinese users. That's also why we're now sitting here on Christmas Day and Christmas Eve and watching a Chinese EV brand showing their products, right? So maybe I'm really hoping for more localized European NIO days in the future, like the Berlin event, which was really awesome, right?
Yes, I asked them whether or not they will have some sort of party or live streaming the next NIO Day, because obviously on Christmas Eve it's impossible to do it in Germany. They said they didn't know, but it was a good idea. So I'm really happy to help them, give them some ideas how they can do it. And maybe meet a lot of you guys then there as well. That would be cool.
Yeah, this comment I like. NIO was very naive early on. They have now stepped into a professional phase. They have arrived after 6 years of dipping their toe in the water. And yeah, this is a very good comment because frankly, this is exactly what I see here as well. NIO is making lots of mistakes along the way, and they are a young company and they are being naive at some points in time. They are making their learnings in this early startup stage. It's really all about surviving and actually being able to get their foot into the door. And I think that's what they're doing. They're now entering a more mature phase where they're bringing the models onto this latest platform. And then based on that, possibly with the first profitable quarter, they can actually dive into all of those other different things that are going on. So they're doing many things quite fast and maybe even too fast at some point in time. So maybe this is reflected in what I earlier pointed out about this quite a little bit later delivery date of this ES8, which has surprised me. I think they could have announced it for March and April, roundabout. But now I think they are, getting a little bit more mature in this regard, and that should be, hopefully good also going forward, giving a little bit more smooth sailing going forward into this respect. And what else? I was thinking about something else here, but I lost my thought.
How do you like the EC7?
To be honest, the EC7 is not a car that I would personally get, simply because of the exterior design. But I think it's looking really nice in terms of where it's positioned to the competitors BMW and Mercedes-Benz. So I can certainly see somebody who's looking to those similar models of the German cars there switching over to NIO simply because of what they're offering, both on the styling and the premium package there. So I think it looks to me that it's going to be a more successful model than the EC6 actually. That's just my impression, although I have to say personally I'm not super passionate about this particular model. I would rather go with the the ET5 and even the ES7 or EL7.
Adding to that,
the ET5 is the car, right? We can definitely say that after sitting in it during the NIO Berlin event live stream, if you have watched that. It's an amazing car inside out. So that will be very successful, and frankly, really looking forward to a similar model in the SUV range, a smaller SUV being introduced, a more affordable one that will be doing very well as well. But for now, they are, for the SUV models, still more on this higher average sales prices side.
I like the EC7. It reminds me of Porsche.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Porsche.
Look.
No, I think it's look. I'm more leaning to like BMW or Mercedes-Benz in this category.
Okay, fair enough.
But doesn't matter. All right, that's it. I think it's almost 3 hours.
Sun is coming out.
Sun is coming out. It's Christmas Eve. We haven't had breakfast. We haven't had champagne. We should do this now. And we'll see what this event can do for the stock price. Ultimately, I think the most important part now for NIO is that they keep on executing, that they don't burn through all of their cash. They have a large cash reserve, but that they don't make any mistakes burning through that in a possible recession. But the good thing is, while the interest rates are rising in the West and cars are getting more expensive there, in China we have the opposite. China is ending zero COVID. China is lowering the bank lending rates and stuff, so it's getting more and more affordable. The economy should prosper again and blossom up. That should help NIO in particular, but also those other brands that are active in China and successful there. And so I expect, hopefully, to see a recovery in 2023 in China already, while possibly Europe and the US can go into a bit more darker times. However, as I pointed out, the US is not playing a big role in the EV industry so far. Europe, I don't know. Our interest rates are also quite low still compared to the US. Hopefully, central banks can pivot before it's getting too high, too negative in the sense, so that we can avoid a big issue here on a global economy side, because frankly then we may see some scaling back in growth plans, and also some more drawdown of cash resources. However, as I pointed out in previous videos, at the point of time where NIO is right now, they're burning even less cash than Tesla did at the same time, when they have been at a similar growth stage. And that, even though they are building all of those marketing and branding elements here, like NIO houses and stuff. So that's the positives of the NIO business models there. And everyone who's saying like that NIO is this cash burning cow, I wouldn't say that this is the case. Of course, they are investing heavily in R&D, but that's where you're supposed to be investing. And yes, they are burning more cash than a Li Auto or a Xpeng, for example. However, you cannot compare apples with oranges there. And in the end, I think NIO, with those high average sales prices and in the future higher margins of those new platform models, they will be able to break even earlier and more sustainably. So that's my point of view. You can differ there and have different views, but that's why I'm investing in NIO. And yeah, I hope they can navigate and break even soonish in 2024 with the first quarter, and 2025 hopefully on a full year. Or sorry, 2023 with the first quarter. And yeah, but let's not keep our expectations too unrealistic there. Usually that comes rather later than earlier, I guess. Yeah, and yeah, as pointed out, there are some of those, well, not some, besides Tesla, the only one really heavily investing in infrastructure, and that's going to be a huge competitive advantage in the future as well. So that takes money and resources, but I think it's the right way to go, and we'll see. I think, of course, I think that's also when people want buybacks, for example, for Tesla or NIO. I think now it's not a time to do that, just to push the share price. We're not in the easiest times when it comes to economy here. And so I would say a good cash cushion is worth more, especially like if you're like Tesla or NIO, you almost faced bankruptcy in the past. You learned your lesson. And I think a couple of companies will not survive it. So that's the challenge, of course. If you're invested in NIO, you're investing in a startup. That's why it's both exciting and challenging, and especially in the current market environment. But from the product side and the business model, I think it's unique. It's quite a different angle. It's innovative in my point of view. It's also differentiated even from Tesla. So that's what I see. And then thank you guys for following us along this journey and, listening to what we have to say about this and all of your comments and questions. It's an exciting journey. And yeah, please help us along. We're trying to build this community here with all of you guys on Twitter, on our Patreon community, where you can support us with the content that we're doing. So that helps us to stay independent. We're not sponsored by NIO. We're not sponsored by any other company that we're covering. We're not running any advertisement and marketing schemes. We're not promoting scams like FTX. And, our patrons help us doing that. So thanks a lot. And I really also cherish our community with the all-member chat and our daily discussions. That's really awesome. And I hope we can do that, maybe replicate that on Twitter, where NIO, frankly, also has to improve, but also on NIO houses. Maybe you can have an offline community in the future. This is kind of the opportunity there for us, and we can hopefully shape it together. And yeah, many people can play a role in that by analyzing the company, pointing out feedback and constructive criticism, I would say. So, right. Lots of talk. I hope you enjoyed it, guys. Please smash a like, share it. Welcome for everyone who's now just waking up in the US and spending this 3 hours with us in a live stream on Christmas Day. Merry Christmas again. Miriam, anything to add? Sorry, I'm talking a lot.
Yeah, and you still almost don't have a voice anymore. So thank you very much, guys. I also want to shout out to the Patreon community on the network. It's a really awesome community that you put together there. And thank you very much for being on the ride with us, and have a Merry Christmas, and see you all next year. And let's hope that next year will be much better than this year.
Yeah, next year we're going to be in China, probably, like not all of the time, but looking very much forward to it. So 2023 is going to be better than this year. With that, thank you guys. Merry Christmas. Enjoy the holidays. Yeah, Chinese love signs. Thank you guys for sticking with us, and
Take care.
See you soon.